Well, hello, everyone. We're hoping that we are actually live this time and that there's people out there watching us. We are having difficulties, and I'm not for sure we are live, but if somebody is on, let us know. Let us know that we're live. But for some reason, we're having difficulties on this program. Jack, are we live at this point?
I am looking as we speak. Yes, we are. Yes, we are.
All right, we are live. We had some technical difficulties. This has been one of those Mondays and Tuesdays that we've had difficulties the whole time. But we are here. Pro Wrestling Inside Now, we are here. And we are with Rodney West, Jack Lord, and Andy McDaniel. Yes, we are live. They're coming on now. They're all online. Andy, you wrote a book about professional wrestling. Tell us a little bit about the whole book and how that came about.
All right. Well, I grew up in Charleston, near Charleston, South Carolina. And the venue there where the Mid-Atlantic and NWA guys came through is called Charleston County Hall. And everybody that was anybody came through. We saw everybody from Andre the Giant to, back in the day, Gorgeous George. They had them all. And the old promoter there, Henry Marcus, he worked with the Crockett's and, of course, promoted the shows. And so as a kid, I was a fan, started watching when I was just small. And then we started going to the live matches. My dad used to go back in the 60s, and he started taking me in 73 or 4. And so just fell in love with it, loved the wrestling business. It was just such a unique thing to not only be able to see the guys, but see that same person on Friday night. And you could reach out and that was the days where they stood in the corner and signed autographs. And it was just a magical time to see your hero. And for me at that time, it was Wahoo, because of course we shared the same last name. And of course I would tell everybody we were related, but I don't imagine that that's true. But hey, wrestlers do lie, but we just a little, but anyhow, I fell in love with the wrestling business and followed it all throughout all my youth and then later, as I was getting older, I wanted to do it so bad, as a kid, and obviously, ultimately had the opportunity, and did a little training with Nelson Royal and some of those guys from that era, Gene Anderson, and some of it was the hardest day of my life.
Wait a minute. You, Anderson, and you're still here to talk about it.
I survived it. It was oh my word. Like I said, I've been through the police academy twice. I've been through seminary, but that day with Nelson Royal and Gene Anderson was the single hardest day ever. Hands down. I thought I was going to die, but it was a lot of fun. Learned so much about the reality of the wrestling business, and but had a great time. And so anyhow, as adulthood and maturity came along, I became a deputy sheriff, worked in law enforcement for a long time, and in the process of that began to start to dabble in the wrestling business and started promoting some shows and doing some things around the Charleston area, and worked with Bill Eadie. He came in as Superstar, and we had some great times and got to be friends with I don't know if you guys would remember, you probably remember him too, but my dearest friend that he lived on my patrol route was Burrhead Jones.
Oh yeah.
And so Burrhead he lived on my patrol route. So we got to be the best of friends, and I had so many. I can't tell you how much that man made me laugh. It was so much fun. And so anyhow, in the talks of all of that, I got to know Mike Mooneyham. And Mike was became a dear friend, and we sat down and we started talking about the concept of doing a reunion. And at that time, at least to my knowledge, it had not been done. At least it's nowhere near around us. I know later Greg Price would do them in Charlotte, and different people would do so. But the first one was back when we did it in '98. Now, I'm sure up in New York and different places they had stuff, but this was the first one. So Mike and I, we set out to contact guys that had not been seen in a long, long time. And the very first person we reached out to was Rip Hawk. And so Rip said, man, I would love to do that. And he said, would there be any chance we could get Swede there? So we put Rip Hawk and Swede Hansen back together for the first time in 25 years. And that day that they saw them guys, it was magical. It was unbelievable to see them see each other and just the embrace and the reality that was there. But we brought in Rip and Swede. We brought Johnny Valentine in. Your dad was there. Tommy Young was there. It was an amazing, amazing thing. So how we did it was we just started reaching out to these guys and saying, listen, here's what we'd like to offer you. We're gonna have a great weekend. We're gonna put you up in a really nice hotel. We'll take care of all of your food, and let's just have a great time. And that's what we did. There was no payoffs. There was no arguments about money. It's unprecedented. It'll never be done again, ever. But we had such a wonderful time. And so hard to believe it was 23 years ago. We had Tim Woods there, Two-Ton Harris, Moolah, Tully Blanchard. Ole was there, and Ole was still in really good health then and doing well and was just being Ole, and Abe Jacobs and just everybody. And then we had a show. We did an awards banquet, and we had a meal, and then we did the autograph signings and all that stuff, and we had a show. And unbeknownst to me, and this was absolutely not planned, and all the guys ended up getting involved as far as the matches were concerned. Your dad refereed one for us. Tommy Young refereed. Charles Robinson refereed. Mark Curtis, Brian Hildebrand. It was just an unbelievable night, how that all worked out. And we had such a great, great time. And so years would go by, and of course, many of the guys would pass on and not be with us anymore. And I've got just boxes and boxes of pictures and memorabilia from all that stuff. And so Dick Bourne from the Mid-Atlantic Gateway and I, we were close friends, and we got to talking about it. He said, Andy, you need to put that down. You need to put it in a book. And so we started laying it out, putting it together, and kind of rehashing the old stories and putting it together. And I talked to Mike, and he was gracious to do the forward for us. And I tried over the last several years for the guys that are still alive, which aren't many, to make sure that each one of them had a copy of that, just as some memorabilia. The latest one I got out was to you guys in honor of your dad. And then I got one to Sue Green just a few weeks ago, and I was able to finally get in touch with her, and I got one to Abe. Abe's still with us. He's 93 years old.
Wow.
And he lives in Charlotte. He's not in good health, not doing real well, but he's still around. And so yeah, that's how it all came about, guys. Long story, but that's where it came to be.
Abe Jacobs, the only wrestler I ever saw that would actually go into the guy's tights and get the gimmick right out of there.
That's exactly right. Yep.
I've never seen that anymore. I've never seen anybody else do that. Don't you use a foreign object on him. He'll go get it.
What's great about Abe? I've gotten to know Abe really well over the last many years, and since that reunion, we got to be really close friends. And we would be up in Asheville, working with a guy named Bill Murdoch, and he did a celebrity golf deal every year, and for this Eblin charity. And Abe was always there, and Abe and Rene Goulet and several different guys over the years, Nikita and Jimmy Garvin and different ones. But Abe was staple. He was every year, and he could play that whole 18 rounds of golf. And it was so funny to watch him in the mornings. He would go out there with his 2 brand new knees, and he would do a couple of hundred Hindu squats. He just couldn't get the old wrestler out of him. And we were just looking for him to get somebody on the 18th green with the Kiwi roll, but he never did. but Abe's a great guy. He tells some great stories.
I believe Brent's froze.
Atlanta working in that, because we did come there. I can't remember exactly what.
Yeah,
but I know Jimmy Valiant was there. Now I do remember that Jimmy Valiant. We went to
Jimmy.
Was it Myrtle Beach?
We went to Wilmington.
Myrtle Beach is where we
were. Wilmington, North Carolina.
That's right.
Okay. Yeah. Oh yeah, Jimmy, and Abe. You know, all those guys. Yeah, it was just. I mean, they worked all over the place, obviously. But there in South Carolina, you know, Charleston was like the staple place. It was where everybody came through. It was just part of the tour. You know, when they were doing Virginia and Georgia and everybody, we were on the way. And a lot of times, I'm sure the same card we had, Greenville got the next day or on that Monday or whenever they were doing TV. But it was sure a lot of fun. You know, seeing. I got to see Wahoo and Johnny Valentine live, and man, if you know anybody that ever doubted the reality of wrestling, they didn't during that match. I mean, those guys just clobbered each other. It was unreal.
Well, I read a part in this book.
Oh, go ahead, Rodney. Somebody said we was having problems on YouTube. Well, that's not unheard of for tonight. So it's problems on YouTube. All right, Rodney.
It's the pictures coming kind of in and out, but we're still streaming there. I'm on it right now.
I believe I'm the one having problems.
Yeah.
I'm going to come off. We just yeah. Keep on.
Go ahead. We don't
slow down.
We don't. Yeah, we don't need you anyway. Go ahead.
Yeah. All
right. I don't think it'll cut it. Y'all will still be here. If we cut us off, I'm sorry. This has just not been our night, but I don't think it will.
Well, I read in your book about Johnny Valentine. I do believe, what was it? Was it Burhead Jones?
Oh yeah. Oh man, we were there, and I had the ring set up, and you know everybody's in there just kind of talking around and just chewing the fat and just reliving the old memories and seeing who could tell the biggest lies and just having a great time. And so Johnny was there, and he'd been sitting over on the side for a while, and Johnny came over to me and he said, "Can I get in the ring?" And I'm like, oh man, that would just be incredible. So several of us got together and we helped him get up there. And so there's a picture of it in the book, and he's standing in the corner. And so it was so funny because Burhead goes up, he said, "Champ, let me ask you a question." He said, "What's that?" He said, "Have you still got that sledgehammer?" He said, "Well, come here and I'll show you." And so Burhead gave himself to Johnny, and Johnny stretched him across that rope, and I mean, he just clobbered him. It was he didn't pull anything. And Burhead, he's laying on the floor in that picture. It wasn't a work. Yes. He was trying to catch his breath.
Yes, that's in the book. That's in the book.
It was
just
phenomenal.
Tremendous pictures just awesome pictures.
Yeah, it was so much fun, listening to those guys. Just, I mean, as a fan, just sitting there and listening to these guys just have such a good time together. And again, there was it was a neat event because it wasn't overwhelmed by fans. Certainly the fans were able to be there, but they got a lot of private time. And so they just got to sit and just talk. And like I said, like Rip and Sweet, they'd not seen each other in 25 years. And they just had such a wonderful time together. And then all the other guys, they couldn't believe Valentine was there because, of course, he wasn't out. He didn't get out a whole lot. And that's the first time I had seen him in person since '93 when WCW did that Slamboree deal in Atlanta. And he did come for that, but he wasn't out very much. But he agreed to come. And in fact, he later, for some shows that we continued to do, just wrestling shows, he actually came back to a few of those and booked them for us. And did a lot of the behind the scenes stuff, and it was a lot of fun. And Swede would come back and do referees for us, and so we got to be friends with. And it was just incredible to get to be friends with your heroes that were from your childhood. It was just amazing.
Sure, it's amazing because I believe what was the Swede and Rip Hawk. I think they actually booked, if I'm not mistaken. Back in this early, I think it was 70s when Dad was there the first time. It was and just huge business. We have to remember 3 towns a night. Jim Crockett did 3 towns a night, just a tremendous amount of talent, and never really got to see Johnny Valentine wrestle in live.
Right. Well, it's a neat memory. It really was. And the only time I only got to see him live a couple of times and the few times it was with Wahoo. And again, nobody could follow that. That was
Now,
just a whole different story.
when you were growing up, you said you went every week. Did you have your own seats?
Kind of, we were able to gravitate to that same area. My dad, he liked to sit in the balcony, so we would always go and we sit in the balcony because it was just you could see everything and you didn't miss anything from the action in the ring to the people fighting in the stands. I mean, it was a little bit of all of it. And then, of course, you got your lady on the corner with the big purse that's got to
That's
get all
right.
the heels when they come out. And so, I just, again, I know it's a new day, but man, that was so much fun back then. The people got into it. It was hilarious. One Friday we were there, and there was a gentleman that lived in the same community where we lived, and he was a little older, but he loved to go too. And the main event that night was Blackjack Mulligan and Tim Woods. And Tim was working without the mask. That he was just Mr. Wrestling Tim Woods without the hood that night. And so Blackjack, of course, is the heel, and he's getting the better of Tim. And they're on the floor, and it's the old wooden floor. And of course, there's no barricade. There's just that string with the tire rims, so this guy is sitting on the front. This guy is sitting on the front row. Blackjack is getting the best of Tim. He's getting the heat on Tim, and Blackjack rolls into the ring. Well, this guy, he reaches over to make sure Tim's okay, and then he decides to get in the ring. And he's going to correct Blackjack Mulligan. Now, this is, 1975 when Blackjack is, 6'9" and 300 pounds or whatever. He was just giant of a man. And so Blackjack, of course, he just grabbed the guy and body slammed him right in the ring. And so we saw the guy. My dad recognized him. He knew who he was. We saw the guy about 3 days later. And it was so funny because when we talked to him, he said, "I'm still trying to catch my breath." He said, "I'll never do that again." And so he did. But I brought that up to Blackjack. I saw Blackjack several years, of course, before he passed away. And then he laughed. He laughed. I don't know that he really remembered it, but he laughed at the thought of that. But I'm like, yeah, it happened because we were sitting right there. But it was a really, I think about those memories and all that stuff. And of course, it's neat. I guess I don't really have it, but I've seen clips and stuff on the network where they have some of the old stuff. But of course, all the best stuff, and even Rick and some of these guys will tell you, it never got filmed. I mean, it was the house shows that we saw that are only memories that nobody, might not even believe if you told them what really happened. But it was there.
Wow. So you had both. You had 2 TV shows. You said play there, right?
We did. Yeah, we did. We did worldwide and just the regular Mid-Atlantic program, and that was from as far back as I can remember. It was on every Saturday morning at 11 because I remember being so upset when it would get preempted for tennis. That just broke my heart, man.
And your question was, who watches tennis?
Exactly. Oh, I remember just going and pleading with my mom, thinking, this can't be. They got Bjorn